You want to talk about white supremacy?
Yeah.
Let's talk about white supremacy.
Of course. Would you?
No.
Okay.
That was me popping it over to you.
We have some new entrants into the umbrella that is white supremacy. And I mean, after I go through this,
The blackface of white supremacy.
after I go, which was an actual,
it's an
actual title about Larry Elder, black guy running as a Republican for governor of California last year or the year before. Anyway, white supremacy is now looking like the new diversity. I'm going to read you a couple headlines, and David will discuss. We have going up here on the video, nameless, faceless guy putting up this. I believe I pulled this from a tweet. But the new white supremacists now include Asians, Latinos, non-whites, and Muslim children.
What's a non-white? Well, obviously, it's anybody that's not Caucasian.
Correct.
I get that.
Yeah.
But like, who's the non-white? I want specifics.
We're gonna go through the titles, and we're gonna let the purveyors of race division, which is the mainstream media, and all of their race hustlers that profit off of this. We're gonna let them tell us who the new white supremacists are. So, Article 1 says, quote, Asian American conservatives have become key allies of white supremacy. And you can probably imagine this article rolled out shortly after the affirmative action ruling, because the plaintiffs in that case were Asians suing Harvard and UNC Chapel Hill for excluding them because they were too high achieving but not of the right skin color.
You're too good. We're not going to let you play in the NBA.
So that makes them white supremacists for standing up and saying, hey,
This doesn't fight for your rights.
This doesn't seem fair.
That sounds like
white supremacist.
That sounds like a white privilege thing to me, you fuck.
All right. For the category of Latinos, we have this article title.
Please.
Oh, sorry.
Jesus.
I know. Well, we don't want to offend our actual Latino and Latina listeners that don't ascribe to that bullshit.
What am I doing?
Yeah, I see tongue in cheek. Right. Anyway, the title of the article, to include Latinos in white supremacy, says, quote, the rise of Latino white supremacy, kind of on the nose with that one. Subtitle, at a time of rising racial violence, Latinos are potential perpetrators and potential victims. The next one in terms of, here's your non-white category. All right, ready?
Here we go.
Here's this article is titled, Why, quote, white supremacists are not always white. Under title or subtitle. Quote, black and brown men committing white supremacist crimes in America should not surprise anyone.
This is getting...
I mean, it would surprise the hell out of me if black and brown men were committing white supremacist crimes.
This is literally Uncle Ruckus. These guys don't even make their own fucking jokes anymore. They watch the Boondocks too much.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you over the sound of me shitting myself.
This is getting even harder and harder to follow.
That's what they want.
You're saying like there's white supremacy within another culture that's not supremacy. But what they're really saying is like the other cultures aren't following their narrative, therefore they can't say Nazis anymore. They have to say white supremacy. But I get that, but it's getting so convoluted that I can't think that they're really sitting there typing this bullshit out and believing it at all.
Right.
It's like they know the words they're supposed to say. It's like...
No, I think they do believe it. They are true believers of this
fucking scary.
This cult that they've created for themselves. Yeah.
That's even worse. What's happening? Go ahead.
Yeah. So for the Muslim children, my personal favorite of these article titles.
As we all know, those children are fucking racist bigots.
Quote unquote. This is what the article title says. Democratic Maryland official says Muslim children aligned with, quote, white supremacists for opposing LGBTQ curriculum.
Oh, there it is. They accidentally said the thing out loud.
Yeah.
They said the thing that pissed them off out loud. So now they're not even hiding there.
And so here's the takeaway from this Culture Corner segment is, again, I think many of you have already figured it out, but for those of you that have not, this whole race hustling, white supremacy is the biggest threat to America, all of that kind of stuff, juxtaposed with their constant calls for diversity and inclusion and democracy and all of that kind of stuff, is when they say diversity, that never applies to ideology. They want monolithic ideological conformity. Everybody needs to think the same way, which just coincidentally happens to align with whatever they say is the right way to think. Isn't that weird? Wouldn't that be interesting if David and I just sat here on WMD podcast and said, listen, guys,
You have to buy
everything that we think is the only right way to think something. And if you don't, then we're going to just, use some buzz term, whether it be racist, white supremacist, bigot, whatever, and call you that name because you don't think the way we think. And that's exactly what this has always been about. They use race as a proxy. And the reason why they use it as a proxy is because race is easy, is you can see it.
It gives them a moral high ground.
If you look at a diverse group of 10 people, all of a different race, creed, color, national origin, all of that kind of stuff. If you look at 10 people, you can see 10 different people. So it's something that's on the surface that they can use as a proxy that's clear, and you can see every single day that you wake up and go outside. And they can point to that and say, this is an example of, and then they'll say white supremacy or whatever and blah, blah, blah. But that's never what it's been about. What it has always been about is using these scare words. Racism is now, that's old fashioned. Now it's white supremacy. Use this scare word to scare you into ideological conformity.
McCarthyism.
For example, the Asian American conservatives. What's that about? It's not about Asian Americans. It's about that they hold conservative ideals. What is it about? It's not about Muslim children. It's because the Muslim culture or these children are not upholding the LGBTQ agenda. Or white supremacists, it's not about black and brown men committing white supremacist crimes, whatever the fuck that means. It's that these black and brown men, I guess, are, harming each other at a high rate, which is based on white supremacy. Again, you can see through the bullshit that it has nothing to do with race. It's all about ideological conformity, which is why you're starting to see white supremacy becoming very diverse, because it's not about what somebody looks like anymore. It's about the refusal to conform, and that's what scares them the most.